So you've got to Google Classroom, which you can either type in classroom.google.com into the URL bar, or you can search for it using the Google search engine, or you can click on the waffle button here and choose Classroom. You're here, and Google Classroom is awesome. It really is just a virtual or online extension of a real classroom, which allows you to do things like set tasks, collect work in, share information and resources. It also allows you to give feedback online. So it's really, really, really awesome. And if we use it effectively, pupils will really be able to get the best out of it. So let's now have a look at how we set up a new Google Classroom and have a look at how we can change the permissions for posting and commenting on the Classroom stream. So what I'm going to do is click on the plus icon here, and I'm not going to join a class, I'm going to create my own class. And we have to fill in this information here. So as you can see here, I've now filled out the class name, the section, and in this section I usually put the date or the years that the class will be taking this particular course, and I've put the subject. The room, sometimes we're in lots of different rooms, therefore that bit doesn't really matter, so I've left that blank. And you press create. So once you've pressed create, it takes a little bit of time to load up your new classroom, but once it has, you should be presented with this. This is your new blank Google Classroom. So what we're going to look at next is changing the permissions for pupils to actually be able to post and comment on the Classroom stream. So to change the permissions, we need to go to the settings icon at the top here, which contains all of the information and settings for our Google Classroom. Now, the one that we want to focus on here is the stream. So this needs to be carefully considered depending on a few different things. Realistically, the main thing to consider is the age group of the pupils that are in your class. So for sixth form and GCSE, it is actually quite good sometimes to allow them to post and comment, but this is all down to personal preference and, I guess, really some of the pupils that make up your classes. So you need to make that decision yourself. But for me, I always personally make sure that students can't post and comment because it fills up the Classroom stream and it just, you run the risk of somebody putting something silly up there. You know what I mean? So if I click on this drop down menu here, you've got the students can only comment if you want, rather than posting materials and resources, or you can have only teachers can post and comment, and that's the one that I tend to choose the most. The reason for this is if I want somebody to post something or upload some work, they should realistically do that through a classroom assignment. So that's how we change the settings for how pupils can post. So now something that's really important is actually, to get the most out of this, we need to put some pupils in the class. So the best way of doing this is to actually just share a classroom code with them. So if we click on this icon here, you can either just project this on the board so that they can see it, or write it down on the board. As long as you're able to give this classroom code to them, the pupils will be able to join. So what we're going to look at now is the different types of posts that you can actually put onto your stream. Now, I know some of these here might sound a bit obvious, but what we've seen through use of Google Classroom is that some teachers will maybe post an assignment just to share a material, which can then be confusing to the pupils because they think, well, do I actually have to upload work to this? It's the same with a question. If you just want one simple question to be answered by each pupil, there's no point in necessarily setting a whole assignment for this. You might as well as just post a question, which allows them to just post a response to that specific question. And again, announcements, we've seen examples where staff have made announcements through assignments or materials. So it's just knowing how to use these things correctly. So if you would like to pause the video and have a look at these examples, this will just show you how the different posting types should be used. So if you'd like to make an announcement to your class, literally just as you would on a social media post where you just want to say something, you basically click on this section here and write your announcement. You can also choose if you want specifically just to give it to individual pupils in the class. I haven't got any pupils, but if I did, they would be listed underneath. Also, if you want to then use the other types of posting methods, if you go to the classwork section and click on create, you can then choose your assignment, you can choose question, or you can use material. So that's how we actually create these different types of posts. But again, it's really important to use the correct method of posting for a particular purpose. So what we're going to do now is have a look at setting an assignment with a template document that the pupils can work on. So when we set assignments, there's two main ways to set an assignment. Either you set the assignment with the intention of pupils being able to upload their work, whether it's a photo of their book or whether it's a video that they've created or a document that they've created, or you can actually give them a template document to work on. So the way that we do this is if you click on the classwork tab and then you click create and choose assignment, and then I'm going to add the file that I want the pupils to work on. So I'm going to click add and choose Google Drive. Now you can upload a file from your hard drive if it's a Word document or a PowerPoint presentation, but it is important to remember that those templates that you upload, they won't allow the pupils to edit them directly. They'd have to open them with Google Docs and then they'd have to add that document to the assignment. So it becomes very complicated. It's much easier for the pupil if you just use Google Drive based documents. So I'm going to go to Google Drive and I'm going to go to My Drive and I'm going to go to GCSE Unit 1 and I'm going to go to Topic 1 Data, Information and Knowledge and choose the Topic Notes document, which I've got here. Now, most importantly, if you want pupils to be able to work on this, you need to change the permission here from students can view the file to make a copy for each student. Now, I'm telling you, don't do students can edit the file because that opens a whole world of pain. They can literally delete the whole document, type anything onto it. You basically give them one document between the whole class and then it's just a free-for-all. Don't do that one under any circumstances. So you choose make a copy for each student. What you do then is name, and I'm going to call this topic 1 data, and then assign it. I'm going to go through these options here a little bit later, but essentially, once you've assigned it, the pupils will then be able to open the assignment, and each pupil will have their own copy of those notes to be able to work on. So if I click on the assignment here, each pupil basically gets this document here, which they can type their notes and answers into. So that's a really useful way of being able to get pupils to complete assignments without having to get them to upload their work specifically. So now we're going to look at an amazing feature of Google Classroom, which is topics. And this is really useful for both staff and pupils to help organize everything that you post on your classroom stream. So here are some examples of how topics can be used and set up. Now, of course, if you've got your own way of doing them, or you've got your own specific reasons to set up topics, that's absolutely great. Do whatever suits you. But here are just some examples. So we can either use topics for specific topics, which might be within a specific unit of work, or we could do topics for entire units or modules within a particular subject. Or we could use topics for specific subjects. So this is probably better for bigger classrooms, such as year groups or form groups, or even study support, where teachers might be posting materials which are for specific subjects. So now let's have a look at how we actually set up topics. So I can go into the classwork tab here, and as you can see down the side here, this is like my contents page. So if I want the pupils to go to specifically some work for topic 3, they could click on topic 3 and any materials or resources or assignments that I've posted would show up in this section here. So obviously for things like revision, if they're revising a particular topic, this would be really useful to them. But the way that we set up topics is to go to Create and choose Topic. So let's say that I know that I'm moving on to topic 4, and anything that I want to be posted under the topic 4 heading would be in here. So I'm just going to call it topic 4 and choose Add. And this will then add to my list of topics here. And then when I create assignments or materials, I can tag them with that particular topic heading so that it automatically adds it into the appropriate section here. So it's a massively useful tool, as I say, for both us as teachers and for the pupils. It really gets everything organized. So now we're going to look at the importance of adding due dates and topic names to assignments. So here's an example from a pupil's perspective. Now, I, as a pupil, have just come onto my Google Classroom, and there's an announcement here which says, complete the assignment for topic 2, please, Mr. Creswell. So what I would do now is I'd say, okay, I'll go to the classwork tab here, and I've got all these assignments here, 4 assignments, and it's a little bit confusing because there's no due dates on any of them, so I don't know when they're actually due in. So which one do I do first? Also, which one of these is for topic 2? If there's no topic categorization headings with it, I've got no idea which one to do first and which one is which. So this does show you the importance of adding those particular elements to your assignments. So now we're going to look at how we actually add these appropriate topic headings and due date to an assignment. So essentially, I've put the title of my assignment here, and I've added a template which pupils are going to work from. So I'm going to change that to make a copy for each student. Now, if I add a due date, the pupil automatically knows when they need to submit this work by, and it will come up in their to-do list as well. So I go to due date, and I'm going to choose from the calendar here. I'm going to choose that it would be completed by next Thursday, the 29th of October, and the time I'm going to put as the end of the day. So it's up to you, obviously, that depends totally on you, what date and what time it needs to be in, but adding that due date makes it so much easier for the pupil. Also, when you do add a due date, it clearly tells you when work has been submitted, if it's late or not. And then if I want to add a topic, data, information and knowledge is under topic 1. So I choose topic 1 there, and I press assign. And in doing this, everything is now organized for the pupil under the classwork section. So you can see classwork section. If I click on topic 1, that assignment has been added. And also, if you just scroll down to topic 1, you can see that it's there and there's clearly a due date. So doing this makes it so much easier for the pupils because it really does reduce any anxiety of not being able to find work and also not knowing when it needs to be submitted by. So now what we're going to do is look at how we actually edit an assignment if we've made a mistake or we need to change something within that assignment. And just to let you know, this works exactly the same for questions and also for materials. So what I would do is go to the classwork section and I would find the assignment or material that I want to edit. So the one that I want to edit is this task here. Now the way that I do this is I click on the options icon here and choose edit. And when it opens up, I can either change the title, I can add instructions or change the instructions that I've given. I can also add more another resource if I want to, and I can also change the due date, the topic. That's where you edit all of the information for that particular assignment. And then once you've done that, you press save, and it's as simple as that. And it will all update there on the classwork section for you. So now we're going to look at providing feedback on a piece of work that's been submitted to an assignment on Google Classroom. Now, it's really easy and really straightforward. And when you speak to teachers who do this around the school, who do this regularly, they say that it's so much easier than providing feedback in books. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my classwork section and find the work that I need to assess. And it's this topic here. So if I scroll down, I can see that one piece of work has been handed in, and this is for test pupil 2. So what I'm going to do here is open that piece of work. And what you can see here is private comments. Now, what's brilliant about this is that this is strictly between you and this individual pupil. And it does allow you to build up a dialogue with the pupil. So you can ask questions in the private comments or just give general feedback. They get a notification in their email, which informs them basically that they have had a comment on their work. So what we're going to do now is have a look at how I would provide comments based on this piece of work here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click into the private comment box, and I'm going to have a scroll through and look through. These definitions are very good. Yep, those definitions are correct. So I might say, your definitions are excellent. And then I'll post that as an individual comment. Then what I might do is have a look through here and have a look at the next section. And I can see here that they've actually labeled this piece of information here incorrectly. That's actually a piece of data. So I might say the barcode is not information. Look at your definitions to try and identify why. So I'll post that. And then with this one, the definitions, brilliant, they can leave that alone, but they can see this one and say, right, okay, I need to have a look at this and try and identify where I've gone wrong. And this system actually works really well for 2 stars and a wish. So you could post a comment, so 1 for your first star, 1 comment for your second star, and then a comment for your wish. So it's a really nice system to be able to actually provide feedback to the pupils. And again, when pupils actually then add their private comments underneath yours, you can then comment back, and it really does help to build a dialogue. And of course, it's actually really quick and easy to be able to do this. The other reason for this is, now I've only got this test pupil in my classroom, so I can't show you this as an example. But if you click on this arrow here, it would simply go to the next pupil's piece of work. So it's really quick and easy. All the work is there. We haven't got to carry around books. We haven't got to switch between books. It's really simple and straightforward. So it's a nice feature within Classroom. So now that you've provided your feedback to the pupil and you actually want them to then take the work back and refine it, because at this moment in time, while the pupil has submitted the work to you, they're unable to edit it. They can unsubmit it if they want and then make changes, but if they're waiting for your feedback in order to do that, we need to return the work. Now, there's 2 ways that you can do this. Once you've typed your feedback in the private comments here, you can, if you'd like, press return and then move to the next pupil's work, do the comments and return. However, each time you return the work, it does actually take a little bit of time. It can take around sort of 10 seconds, depending on the size of the piece of work. So there's actually another way that you can do this. So if I close down this individual piece of work, now let's say that I've gone through each pupil's work, and remember, you could have up to 32 pupils here, let's say, and you've provided feedback with private comments on their work. Now the comments save automatically, which is brilliant. So if you close down a pupil's work after typing and posting the comments, they save there automatically. But what you can do is if you go onto the handed in section, now let's imagine I had 10 pupils here who've handed the work in. What I could actually do is tick them and tick all of their names if necessary, or just tick the ones that I want to return, and then press return to return them in one big batch. And it will list all of the pupils that you've actually, that you're returning the work to in this list here. So I press return, and that will now return them in one big batch, which saves having to do that, with each individual piece of work, because, 10, 15 seconds for 30 pupils, the time adds up. So that's a nice way of returning the work. Now, one of the nice features of Google Classroom is that each classroom has its own Google Drive folder attached to it. Now, this can be really useful because if you want to find a specific pupil's piece of work for a specific assignment, it can often be quite tricky to do this if you have lots of assignments that have gone on throughout the year, or if it's a GCSE class, it might be a 2-year course. So there's a lot of assignments in there. Now, the way that we access the folder is to go to the Classwork tab, and we click on the Class Drive folder. And this opens up the Classroom drive in Google Drive itself. Now, I've only posted one assignment here, but essentially any assignment that you post and pupils contribute work to that assignment, it will all be stored in this Google Drive folder. So if I want to find Test Pupil 2's work, if I click into this folder here for this assignment, their work is here. And then I can do with that whatever I want. Maybe I want to share it with another teacher to show an example of some work. Or maybe I could share it with another class on a Google Classroom to use as a peer assessment activity. So it's just a good way of keeping track of all of your files that you've accumulated through assignments with a particular class.